everyone. A big welcome back to the Nick Elston Show, Season 5, Episode 28. And we are hurtling headlong into December with day 2 of the Podcast A Day release week. The last one of the year as well. So really great to kind of sign off the last week with an amazing guest of Steffi Andrews. Big round of applause. Woo!
Hello.
You all right?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Lovely to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's really weird because usually we're hugging by now. I mean, that's the in-person thing, right? The virtual just hasn't got the same thing.
And no Haribos.
And no Haribos. That sucks. I mean, if virtual Haribos, if anyone's listening, Dragon's Den, virtual Haribos are the way to go. Come up with that, you are winning at life, my friend, right? So anyway, before that's a really weird rabbit hole to dive down straight away, virtual Haribos, but there we go. Hello, everyone. I hope you are all well. Yeah, an amazing guest to bring you. So mine and Steffi's paths first crossed through, actually, Steffi was photographing. It's lucky I don't edit this stuff, isn't it? Photographing the same event that I was a keynote speaker at way back at the early part of this year for Business Focus Networking. Amazing, by the way. She gave me some great images. And we just clicked straight away. And I loved that. And I think what we clicked over we're both very kind of very human led, I guess. We both use vulnerability with that kind of small V. And our paths will not stop crossing since. The synchronicity of the world is an amazing thing. So I'm really glad to have Steffi on here. Before we go anywhere with this, Steffi, tell us who you are. I kind of given a clue to what you do and where you're from. Think of like you're on the chase.
Hello, everyone. I'm Steffi. I am based in Abergavenny in Wales, or just outside Abergavenny in Wales. But I'm originally, don't know if you can tell by my accent, I'm from Germany. And I've lived here now 23 years ago. Moved here 23 years ago. I've lived here 23 years. So I'm the Welshest Germany you ever meet, probably. It's my home. I love it. And yeah.
And now everyone can understand why I couldn't place your accent right at the start. It's because where would you actually kind of throw a dart between Wales and Germany? I'm not sure what it is, probably the middle of the ocean somewhere, but there we go. But I'm so pleased that our paths did cross. And you are a professional photographer, no less.
Yes.
You are. And you also are kind of flexing your speaking muscles and going out there delivering stuff. Because it's fair to say that photography may be the platform and the thing that you're absolutely amazing at, but you are very kind of cause champion focus as well, aren't you? You do talk very openly about kind of things that maybe others wouldn't. And I like that.
Yeah, I'm very, very open about my story. And it took me a long time to be open about my story, but it's a big, big part of what I do now. When people hear photography, they think that that's what I am, just a photographer. But I think for me, it goes way deeper than that. And we will probably talk about that during the podcast of what I mean by bringing my past into my job now. So, yeah.
You've seen the show before. You know where I'm going with this. So okay, and we will absolutely get there. But I like to take people way, 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 way back. Tell us about baby Steffi. Tell us about kind of growing up. Tell us about education, family, kind of right through to that kind of first step into the professional world. What did that look like for you?
Baby Steffi, I was the smallest and the youngest out of 3 loving parents. I've just been home now 54 years. My parents have been married. I've got a sister and a brother. I grew up in Germany. Big family, lovely family. And yeah, I was a happy girl all my life. I was always a busy bee. I was always a friendly busy bee. I was always laughing, always smiling. And yeah, I had a happy childhood, really, really happy childhood.
And that's so easy to believe as well. So easy to believe. I think, honestly, if we could bottle Steffi, I think we would sell a lot of it, to be fair, for sure. What about education? How did that education look like for you?
I went to school, primary school, then I went to secondary school in Germany, went straight into an apprenticeship. So my first ever apprenticeship where I then started my career was as a travel agent.
Yeah.
Stayed in that for quite a while. Then when I moved to the UK 23 years ago, I worked in Stag and Hen weekends. So it was always a bit admin based. And then I started working in schools. So I really went into education, working with children with trauma, children who didn't have such a great start in life, missing children, exploited children, the lot. So yeah, I stayed in education for quite a few years.
Wow. I mean, that's a bit of a leap, isn't it? I mean, before we even get to the professional leap, why did you come to these shores from Germany?
Very long story. I was in a relationship with a guy for 2 years, but at the same time, I was a big fan of the UK. I've always collected things with the Union Jack on, funny enough. And, I always wanted to speak English. I had a lot of British friends. The British forces were in my hometown base, so we went out partying where they went partying. I've always had a real deep connection to the UK. Never knew really quite why until a few years ago when I found out why that may be, actually. And yeah, I had a nasty breakup from an ex-partner who just disappeared overnight when I was in hospital. He just vanished into thin air, and
Wow.
I was really upset. And that's when things started to go bad for me.
Yeah.
And, my dad wanted to see me happy again, and he said, "What will it take for you to be happy?" And I said, "Oh, I want to go to the UK for a year and do some work experience." And I did, and I never left.
Wow. And I mean, that's the first leap, and thank you for sharing that. I mean, you alluded to something why you would be connected to the UK more than you kind of guessed. What would that be?
My mum told me a few years ago, which I did not know, that my granddad is actually not my granddad. He's my step-granddad. So when we queried, who is my granddad, your father, it was a British soldier.
Wow.
Yeah, but none of us knew that for a long, long time. So he was with my grandma for a short period of time. I only know his name. I know roughly where he's from, but we've never met him. So maybe that's where the connection is. I don't know.
Wow. Is that something you're prepared to share on here in case there's people watching and stuff that may know you or know of you?
Oh, absolutely. I was always gutted for my mum that she never found out who her real father is.
Yeah.
She only ever had his name, which is such a shame.
What was the name?
Jim House. What a great name.
Jim House.
Jim House. He was based in Germany. My mum is now 73.
Okay.
So, most likely that he won't be alive, but she might have siblings. She's an only child.
Wow. Let's see what the powers of the universe can do on this one.
He was from Oxfordshire, I believe.
Okay. See, that's an interesting one because my granddad, my pap, he lost contact with one of his brothers many, many years ago, like decades and decades ago. And thankfully this happened before my pap actually passed. But he was always kind of thinking about like kind of getting back in touch. And I think certainly there's a lot of pride that gets involved in kind of family stuff too. Mm. But I actually I engaged a private investigator and I found him within a day.
Wow.
And it was crazy. And they actually did meet up and they did kind of see each other before. Sadly, both of them have actually passed away. And I find that power of connection it's mind blowing, really. So you never know who is watching this and the reach of this has. So thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
I mean, the other leap is actually from travel agent to working with students with trauma. That's maybe it's even a less natural leap, to be fair. Tell us about that one.
So when I first started working in schools, I was administration based, so office based, admin, the usual stuff that keeps the school up every single day. But really, really quickly, I connected with the children, and the children came to me when they were down. The children came to me when they struggled, even though I was just the office lady. And so I thought I got to do something with this. And then I trained, and I was a practitioner to work with children with trauma, and did a lot of art-based work with them, and play therapy with them, anything that figures out why they're dealing with their emotions the way they did. And then from that, I joined a team after a few years for exploited children, and still worked in education, trying to teach them healthy relationships, anything that gets them to enter relationships that are not good for them. There could be a physical relationship or a friendship or street families, anything like that. So I still went into school and delivered assemblies or one-to-one work with them. just to keep them safe, really.
Wow. I mean, that's the thing, is we do become a product of our environment, and it doesn't take many different twists for somebody's life to turn out completely differently, does it?
Oh,
And that's mind blowing. I mean, we're recording this on the 8th of November. So yesterday I was lecturing at the City of Bristol College and speaking to, as you said, the same kind of students that you've helped support for many years previously, that through speaking to people, that essentially doesn't take much for people to go a different direction. And you also don't understand what kind of trauma people can carry without you even know. And it's very quick to make assumption. I actually found that in the prison system as well. Absolutely. Of course, there were, should we say, people that did have more of an element of choice to do what they do. But in the vast majority of cases, if you took away the security, it felt like a college with people that have just made either poor choices or have been a product of their condition, and they become a product of their environment. That must have been really empowering for you, and actually potentially even a minefield for you as well, because I guess, knowing you as I do, that you can potentially become that wounded healer. You give and give and give. Did you find it hard to disconnect from people and young adults when you were working with them, young people?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I struggled with the most is that I couldn't save them all. My partner always said to me, you need to stop trying to save the world, because, you know, as soon as I could not get the results that I wanted, it crushed me every single time. And what that did to me was becoming a very anxious mother for my own 14-year-old child. And he said to me after a while, he said, Mom, you're suffocating me. You don't let me be me, because you're always scared that I get into situations. And I was. It was dreadful. After a while, you know, when all you hear is bad things, and, you know, all you want to do is bring them all home and look after them and give them the family that they deserved. And I couldn't do that. And I struggled with that personally. You know, I know a lot of people deal with that in a very different way, but I'm a family girl. I grew up with a lot of love, and seeing that a lot of people didn't, after a few years, really got to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the switch to the UK from Germany, kind of culturally, what are the main differences? I mean, I always like to ask people this who have lived in or come from different countries or had experience in different countries. What would we say the main differences are culturally between your life in Germany and your life in the UK?
There's quite a few, actually. When I go home now, even times are changing. Friendships last a long time in Germany. I find Britain friendships are quite fickle a lot of times. People move on really, really quickly. So being brought up in Germany, everything was quite a safe environment. You know, if you didn't go to school, you would be picked up by the police. They would take you to school because it's mandatory. You have to go. Over here, that's very different, even though I used to be an attendance officer. So even though you check where the children are, they allow them to stay home. And, you know, yes, parents can get prosecuted and things like that, but it's never been like that. We don't have attendance officers in Germany, bizarrely enough. It's not needed.
Yeah.
So, the education system was very different. Of course, we had problem areas as well, but I always felt really, really safe in Germany. Everything was very clean. Everything was very structured. And then when I moved here, I think one of the biggest problems I struggled with when I moved to the UK was the lack of things to do for young people. You know, that they really struggle with where to go or what to do. And then obviously they then turn to their street families, and they make their own creation of a safe environment. And quite often it's not that healthy.
Fascinating stuff. And what about in terms of the kind of German approach to mental health? What's it, and not exclusively, but especially from a male perspective, what does it look like in Germany?
Oh, you get referred to specialists. We have a GP system, yes, but as soon as somebody has got problems with their back, they get referred to a doctor that specializes with the back. If your mental health suffers, you get referred to somebody who can help. And one good thing that Germany did, which I personally experienced, is until your children are 12 years old, you are allowed to go into a free rehabilitation by the German health system. it's very difficult to explain. So basically what they do is, for example, I had a really nasty divorce. So my son was 4 at a time. He's been through a lot. I've been through a lot. So I got sent away by the German health system for 3 weeks to prevent me getting depressed, burned out, not being able to function. It's a prevention. So I was sent away for 3 weeks to the German coast into a big institution with lots of other parents and children. The children are completely looked after. They do forest school, they do art therapy, they go to the beach, they do this, while the parent gets really, really deep work on themselves. If it's physical or mentally. And it's prevention. They just want people to stop falling into that trap of being really bad, or could be after child loss when parents,
and that's not either available here, or actually if it is, it's very expensive because it's private, isn't it? It's the wow. So you moved to the UK, you had these experiences, and we discussed like the cultural differences. What was next after leaving education? How did you get to that point of becoming the pro and awesome photographer you are today?
I've always taken photographs. It always brought me joy. I always wanted to be this world explorer that goes with the camera and the hat and the boots and the shorts through, and finds adventures. Like Sir David Attenborough is an explorer. I want to be that person with the camera. And friends always messaged me saying I brought them joy. I made them smile. I got them through hard times by posting my pictures. So after a while, I thought, maybe I should do something with this. And then they started asking me to photograph their kids. And, can you take a photo of my parents? Can you do this? And can you do that? But I've never really thought I could put that into a job or into a career. And but then I started training. Everything was self-taught. I've never had a degree or anything, nothing. I just loved what I did. And because of my past, of my last 15 years, basically, being married, being in a narcissistic marriage, low confidence for a long time is a big part of my story. Whenever I photographed, especially women who really didn't like themselves for whatever reason, that could be because they had a partner that put them down, or a friend, or they lost their confidence through other things, weight gain, whatever it may be. And if I then took a good photograph of them and they literally went, and you could see the smile appearing on their face, going, oh my God, that's me. It really started to light me up in a way that nothing else did. And my first ever photo shoot was for a friend who also left education and started her own hair salon. And she does really, really vibrant, colorful hair. And she also had really low confidence. And I surprised her in her shop and did a photo shoot for her because I was so proud of her, starting her own business. And when she got them back, she was beaming. And I thought, I want to do this. I want to do this all the time. So I niched. So I thought, I just want to photograph people who are successful, who started their career, who make changes to the world, and then it all developed from there. And after only, I think I worked part-time for just under a year, always working weekends, Saturdays, Sundays, wherever it was. And I still had my full-time job. I rang HR and I quit. And then she said, I'm off, goodbye. I'm doing my own thing. And they said to me, are you crazy? I said,
Yep, I am. Thank you very much.
Scary. It was so scary. I was in a corporate career for 27 years.
Wow.
So to leave during a global pandemic, everybody said to me, you've got to lose. Safety. I didn't care. I just wanted to do what made my heart light up, and that was that.
You found order in the chaos, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah.
Your rise has certainly been a rapid one. That watching from afar, from hearing you speak at the events that you've been to for me, and speaking at my events, for all the stuff that you do, are just every single time there seems this big kind of step, whatever that looks like, whatever it it's not what it looks like, what it feels like, I guess. And I think actually it's because you address, and like you said, your passion, what lights you up is it's empowerment, essentially, isn't it? You're empowering people in capturing their essence in that sense. And as you know, through the events that I run, I very often say to people, I wish that, and I said this to you, I wish you saw what I see in you. Because when we see that, we see things completely differently. And you're doing that. You're holding up a mirror for people, aren't you, essentially?
Yeah, I make them remember who they are and why they do what they do in a very different way. And, and that's why I said earlier, I do so much more than taking a photograph. I literally make them think about why they do what they do and what their strengths are and what their goals are and who they are. And so many times I had them literally come back to me after and didn't really talk about much about the photos anymore. They said, like, you gave me back my confidence. I lost it through whatever reason, and I was the same. I had no confidence for 12 years at least. And when somebody can find that sparkle again, I think it can be really powerful.
I think absolutely you're right. And thank you for sharing with such clarity as well. Again, I said this to you before, but for the sake of the show, your self-awareness is immaculate, actually. It's that you seem to be able to verbalize exactly how you feel and how you see things. And I think actually we've both posted recently about things like body image, which still is one of those taboos that's not really spoken about. And I think it does have an impact on people because people do judge. And I've mentioned this at these kind of events that everyone's judging everybody, and not necessarily in a negative way, but we do that. We kind of try and take a snapshot of people very quickly. And I've certainly found that weight is one of those things that I seem to bring out just to make sure that it's kind of verbalized in that sense. So absolutely, it becomes something you kind of, I wouldn't say mask, but you certainly bring out so that it's there. And I was kind of really choked to read some of your posts recently on LinkedIn around things like body image and the effect that it has in lots of different ways. And as you said, that can be impacted by other people. Jim Rohn, an American author, said that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend most of your time with. But interestingly, we can be reprogrammed by other people. I remember being on a BBC panel event, and there's a psychologist, an amazing lady, who said that if you speak to yourself when you're not feeling life right now, you'll say, I am rubbish, like a word to that extent. That's you in the first person. That's your language. But scarily, a lot of the time we'll say to ourselves, you are rubbish, to ourselves. And that means that somebody else has reprogrammed us. So we do become a product of our environment. And as you said, coming from that narcissistic relationship, it will have an impact on you, sadly. Do you feel that body image was one of those things, and that's why you bring it out into the light now?
Absolutely, 100%. And you just brought it up. I put a post on LinkedIn a good 2 weeks ago, and it reached almost 90,000 people now. Wow. The amount of people who private messaged me and said, thank you for speaking up and making me realize that there is a new life out there, that I don't have to feel the way I do. So many people suffer in silence.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it was really difficult for me to put that post up. I think I wanted to put that post up, I don't know how many times, thinking, is it the right platform? Is a business platform? Can I really do that? But my God, yes, I could. I had the most incredible support from men and women private messaging me, leaving me voice notes and giving them hope that, for a long, long time, I was this quiet little mouse feeling absolutely dreadful about herself, hiding away in the background. Now I'm the complete opposite. And they then can see, oh my Christ, you can really overcome these things.
Yeah.
A lot of people always think that's their life and there's no end to it and there's no change, or that they will always suffer the way they do or feel as low confident as they do. But it's not. You can really, really, really turn your life around.
Absolutely. I think that's the thing, that what you've done is by sharing your experiences, you've given people hope. And it's that hope, or the hope of something better, which drives everybody. And when people do reach that point of kind of like, I'm done with that, I'm done with him, I'm done with her, or quite drastically, I guess, that people reach that kind of, they feel it's the end of the road. It's not. You just don't know what the way forward looks like yet. And for me, lived experience and the way that you've utilized that is the perfect vehicle to drive engagement, hope, inspiration, all those different things, far more than if you would have put up a kind of a scientific post about weight or body image or stuff. It wouldn't have had the same impact.
No.
Because what they've done is relate to you as a human. And that is the emotional connection, isn't it? You've made people feel something. It's not about the words you say per se. It's how you've made people feel by using your experiences.
I had one woman private messaging me who, it was almost the identical story to mine. It was bizarre. We both have dogs. We both experienced the same type of relationship. We both had a really bad couple of years of trying to find love in a very stupid way by going out and getting drunk in town. You know, when you really, all you want to have is somebody who stays with you and thinks you're amazing. And it didn't work like that. It was toxic. But she went through exactly the same as me. And it makes you feel like you're not alone in what you experienced. And there's so many of us out there that have got a similar situation or story. And it unites people and gives them strength. I believe it gives them, you know, because you can feel really alone, because lots of people who are on the outside say to you, why the heck did you stay? Why did you put up with that? Why didn't you stop him? And it's not that easy when you're in that situation. And I think what connecting to other people does is they realized, you know what, I don't feel guilty now for allowing that to happen, because so many others are in the same situation and find it difficult to break free. But once you find this connection to people and you unite and you talk about it, it just makes you feel so much better. It's insane.
It's beautiful. And it's the thing we've missed most over the past few years, that community, isn't it? That being able to share and kind of share experiences. And I think it's a very kind of negatively judgmental thing for people to do, to assume that a toxic relationship, in this instance, a narcissistic relationship, why didn't you just leave? It's not as simple as that. And we've all got those zones, those kind of comfort zones. And that a toxic relationship is a fantastic example of a comfort zone. That it's easier to stay actually in a position of pain and frustration than it is to do something about it. Because very often that limiting belief, that zone, is reinforced by what you're being constantly told every day. So how do you summon up the courage and confidence and conviction to do something about it? And you're quite right. And some of the environments that I work in, like domestic abuse and the prison service, come to that as well. They're testaments to what goes wrong when people address it in a different way, sadly. And I think it's tremendously courageous of you to do that and to share that as well. So are you truly being heard in life and in business? And think about that genuinely. If the answer to that is no, then you've found the right event. If you want to give yourself that boost personally and professionally, come along to Find Your Voice Live. This will change your life. This will be the game changer that you've been looking for.
It provides me with the confidence in myself to prove to myself that I can do it, I can get up on stage, I can speak.
There's absolutely nothing to be nervous about with these events. It's very, very open, very, very relaxed.
Help my confidence go from here at the beginning of the day to here at the end of the day.
Hey everyone, my name is Nick Elston. I'm an inspirational speaker on the lived experience of mental health and a transformational speaking coach. I'm the founder of Forging People, and Find Your Voice Live is our flagship event where we cross the boundaries of personal development, mental health, transformation, and public speaking. Your ability to speak, to deliver any message to any audience with clarity and power and emotion will have an ultimately defining impact on your success by your own definition of that really subjective term. Speaking is life, speaking is business, speaking is education, and that's the thing that we focus on most. What I find is that people are here for many, many different reasons. Some people do absolutely want to be a stage speaker or a professional speaker. Some people want to be able to represent their business or to lead a team or inspire a movement or create a story. But even actually, some people want to be here just because they want to be heard at home. Maybe they don't feel their opinions being heard, that they can't say yes to the things they want to say yes to or no to the things they want to say no to. Again, this is where personal development meets mental health, meets public speaking to create a real positive impact. At the end of Find Your Voice Live, you will walk away with massive confidence around delivering your message.
The ability to stand up and deliver means you will enhance your self-esteem in an amazing way. You will also have the skills and tools and tips and techniques to not only deliver a presentation, but to structure a presentation, to find your audience, to be able to deliver emotional storytelling to help your audience feel and make them want to be part of your tribe, make them want to be part of your following, and really tune into what you're truly about, to truly make yourself heard in life and in business. If you're sat on the fence, if you're still not sure, take the model that I use, say yes, worry about it later, and I'll make sure that you're looked after brilliantly. Myself and my team will make sure that you have an amazing day, transformational day that will have the desired positive impact that you want to achieve.
Have you ever experienced any kind of pushback or toxicity to what you share?
Absolutely. Not this time on my post, not one negative comment. I was really, really pleased about that. It was mainly support, or only support, if I'm honest with you. I think it's from people close around me where they literally gasp and they go, can you really say that? Because I've got a child. However, I'm quite open now with my child. My child is now a teenager, and he starts obviously asking questions about the past. And I have never been one for talking bad about my ex-partner to him most of his life. But I think for him, what he realizes now as a young man, he needs to know what is okay and what is not okay.
Absolutely.
And he is really, really switched on, and he knows how to treat people and how not to treat people. And I think if I just wishy-washed over the fact, there's a lot of things about my marriage anyway, I would never allow my son to do things that he probably thought were normal. He needs to know those things are not normal and they're not the right things to do. So, I'm quite proud of the fact that, yes, I'm vocal about my past, but I'm also keeping him safe, and he's a fantastic young child.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving away from the kind of the more personal side of things to the photography side of things, that we have a lot of people, we have a very diverse audience on here, which is really cool. But a lot of people are kind of trying to enter the world of being able to deliver their own messages, whether it be professionally or just to kind of put themselves out there networking or representing their own business or entrepreneurship. That what do you feel the kind of the foundations of fantastic imagery is when it comes to representing your own personal brand in life and business?
I think the first step is the courage to have the confidence to do it. I think the majority of people really shy away from it for whatever reason. Like 99% of the people that I work with say, oh my God, I hate my picture being taken. Everybody hates it because they've got something about themselves that they're not happy with. So once you give them the courage to actually try to step out there and be visible to people and say, this is my business, this is what I want to share, and you can benefit from my services, because once they have the courage to share that, and obviously in my experience, it is with the form of imagery, people have a different connection to you when you are visible. You know it. You are very, very visible on all social media platforms. If I just read a text about you, Nick Elston, with a lot of text, I wouldn't have the personal connection to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But because I see you everywhere, because I met you, because I follow what you do, and I see your face all the time, and
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I can live with it. But this is what I mean. You build this.
I'll take that. Can I have that on as a kind of recommendation on LinkedIn? Yeah. Nick Elston, I can live with it.
I can live with it.
Yeah, I'll take that from you.
But text doesn't do that. Text doesn't sell a person and doesn't sell a personality. You only get that by seeing people and seeing them regularly. So go live, share images, put yourself out there, go networking and switch your video on. Don't switch it off, because people need to see you.
Yeah, I love that. And personal brand is important. I mean, I've always championed personal brand, even as an employee, to actually, I think you look at people like, you would have heard me say about it, Find Your Voice, kind of like Elon Musk. love him or hate him, his approach to life is his personal brand is the most important thing that he owns. We know he's the founder of SpaceX and Tesla and now the owner of Twitter and all the fallout from that. But actually, love him or hate him, he's prepared to live and die by his own personal brand. And I think there's something in that for all of us. I think the personal brand is as you said, it's the easiest thing that can be destroyed, but also the best thing, the most important thing that we have. And I'm with you. I think imagery has been so crucial. And in the reference of speakers and stuff, that to start with, that was the first thing that one of my first mentors, Brad Burton, kind of educated me on, was to imagery, videos, testimonials. That was the three things I constantly. So even if you weren't being paid at the start, those were the three things you kept going for all the time. And imagery was the one, because everyone has the ability to. They've got a phone on them now, so if you are at an event without a photographer, you can still say, "Okay, take some pictures while I'm." And it's important, but I think you are the friend of every budding speaker on this call. So I strongly suggest you do hook up with Steffi, and her contact details will be in the bio. But thank you for your tips on that. What's next, Steffi? I mean, you've had such a transformational period over the last period. What's next for you?
I want to talk. And I want to go to organizations. I want to be able to go where women are, or where men are. Obviously, in my case, it was a man that did bad things to me. But I want to be able to go and speak to people and show them this is not your life. You can have a different life, and you can recover, and you can move on, and you can be better and be happy. And for me, my story will not stop. I want to share, and I want people to realize, yes, I want to be there, not here.
Yeah.
And you can only do that by sharing your story. So yes, that's why I joined your Find Your Voice event twice already. Amazing.
And what a story. And genuinely, I think it's an interesting one, actually, like you said. And it's next week, actually, for example, I'm speaking at Tesco for the Women's Network on International Men's Day. So it's interesting that most of the questions I get as a man are from women who want to know how to signpost their husband, brother, partner, whatever that may be. So it is interesting, actually, for men. Actually, we need to know more about what you do and your experiences of that. And that's a really interesting one. That even though that our focus and our niche can be in a certain gender in this example, that everyone needs to hear about your stuff, Steffi. Absolutely.
I agree. I find stories really, really powerful. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of motivational speeches or inspirational speeches of people who have had very, very different experiences. Yes, I might be a photographer, but I also am a person that has survived.
Yeah.
Something really horrible. So for me to be able to separate the two and combine the two at the same time, because I work with so many people who have experienced something bad, not necessarily what I did. It can be very, very different fields of life. But when you give them that little spark back somehow, it's either by conversation or by taking a picture that makes them feel so proud of themselves and so confident and go like, do you know what? Can I swear now? It's not you.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
So yeah, I'm going to do both. That's my mission.
You heard it here first, folks. Coming to a stage in a town in a country near you soon, Steffi Andrews. But before I let you go, we've actually got to line this up. If you're going to be coming to some big stages, which I know you absolutely will, I am about to announce you to the stage. What would your walk-on music be?
Absolutely, I Am Woman by Helen Reddy.
Tune. What's that mean to you?
It means, she literally describes in her song what I am. I am strong. I am invincible. I am, I am this strong woman, and I want to be that all my life. I don't ever want to be in a corner again where I feel so bad about myself like I did for so many years. Those times have gone. And her song, I play it in the kitchen when I do the dishes, and when I walk the dog, I put it on my, and I love it. It just lifts me up. It makes me stand straighter and stand taller and literally go like, yes, that's me, You
promised me I'll MC your first event, and I'll make sure you walk onto that track.
Only if you announce me, because the way you announce people to walk on stage is fantastic.
Ladies and gentlemen, give up for Steffi Andrews. Woo! The one you've been waiting for. Steffi, thank you so much for giving up your time to be with us today. Such an amazing episode. Really enjoyed that. I hope everybody else did too. Any parting wisdom for Steffi?
Just have faith, find yourself again, believe in yourself, and don't let other people bring you down. That's my main message.
What an absolutely powerful message that is. Absolutely love that. So, okay, thank you so much. Please do hit like, subscribe, and all that jazz, wherever it's going to take to get you back here tomorrow. But from me to you, stay well, be happy, take care, have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.